Hi, I'm Dr. Vince Bellonzi. I'm tired of counting calories. How about you? You know what? I don't see it work that well. We have people so focused on counting every calorie that they consume, and then they're wearing different apparatus or doing something to figure out how many calories they burn. Counting calories just doesn't work, in my opinion, except for some specific cases with athletes. The problem is that we don't have accurate counts. We don't know how much we're burning. It's set up for somebody else. You can't look on the treadmill and see how many calories you're burning. What I've found in helping a lot of people lose weight in the thousands is that it doesn't really matter how much you eat. What matters is what you choose to eat. Food is communication. If you're communicating to your body correctly, then you're going to get the results you're looking for. As far as counting calories, if you're eating the foods that we're designed to eat, that we evolved with, I just don't think you're going to have a weight problem in 99% of the cases, because it's all about getting nutrients in and not getting so many calories. If you look at some of the major studies done recently on Alzheimer's, on cancer, on chronic diseases like autoimmune diseases, what they're finding is the biggest common factor is high calorie intake. Well, the only way to do high calorie intake is to eat the standard American diet to some extent, or something like it. In order to get the number of calories required to create the inflammation that creates the disease, you're going to have to eat junk. That's just the way it is. If you're going to eat breads and pastas, if you're going to eat processed grains, it is possible to get way too many calories. Okay, now you're going to have to count calories. So if you want to eat those baked goods, and you want to eat those cold cereals, and if you want to eat things that contain a lot of calories but fewer nutrients, that's when you have to count calories. We have to worry about how many calories because you're taking in so many. But there's a better way. How about vegetables? Vegetables come naturally, right? Right off the farm. Right off the farm, they're nutrient dense and low calorie. And there's a lot of other natural foods too that have relatively few calories, especially compared to their nutrients. And when I'm talking about nutrients, we got to think about, okay, are you getting all of your vitamins? They're called vitamins because they're vital to health. You need them. Without them, you become deficient. You have a deficiency disease. Without enough, you can't be healthy, even way beyond what you need to stay away from that particular deficiency disease. The way to get the vitamins and minerals that you need is to eat plants or animals, but eat foods pretty much right off the farm. Processing is going to change things. So if I'm eating natural foods, especially if they're grown organically and they have a high amount of vitamins, minerals, and then there's phytonutrients. There's communication from the plant to us. I know you may not like your vegetables, but that bitter taste is actually sampled in your gut. We think it's even sampled by the pancreas. Your body actually tastes, not just your tongue, your body actually tastes and then sets up a response. There are receptors for just a few molecules in a plant. The body's induced to do things when that receptor's hit. You're not going to get all that from a processed grain. You're not going to get all that from junk food or processed food. You're not going to get the communication that's going to allow your body to function. And there's no truer statement than a body working right, functioning correctly, will not gain excess weight. You're just not going to put on the weight if you're eating real food. So rather than counting calories, make better food choices. Doesn't mean you can never have a celebration, but generally get a lot of nutrients and take in a few calories. And again, you can do that with real food. It's easy to do with the food you're designed to eat. Your body, by design, by evolution, by adaptation, by what we call epigenetics, has figured out how to use real food. It's all set up, it works well, it doesn't create a problem. But if you're going to eat the processed foods, if you're going to eat concentrates, if you're going to eat altered molecules, if you're going to eat food that's there for shelf life, for transportation, and we call it food even though it's a food-like substance. It may have started as food, but it's been altered. If you're going to eat those modern foods that a lot of people are eating, now you got to count calories. Now you have to be careful. Maybe we should be counting chemicals. Maybe we should be counting altered molecules. Maybe we should be counting new to nature molecules. How about all the medications you need when you eat those foods? If you eat natural foods, you communicate the right message to your body functions correctly, you don't have disease. It's as easy as that. So again, I'm not saying you can never have a high calorie intake. Go ahead on your birthday, have some birthday cake, have a piece of bread here and there. But you'll never have to count calories in the majority of cases if you simply choose real food. So something to think about. That's been my experience in helping a lot of people lose weight. When they make that shift, problem's gone. And if they don't stay with real food, they get too much off track, especially with processed grains, that's when they've got problems. And remember that they're discovering recently that depending on what you eat, especially if you eat those refined grains, it actually changes even the organisms that live in your gut. So they're finding that depending on what lives in your gut, you may or may not have a weight problem, you may or may not have autoimmune disease. There's a lot of things that those commensal organisms do with us. And the population alters depending on the food source. If you're eating real food, you tend to have organisms that cause health and support health. If you're not eating real food, we'll call it, if you're eating especially the processed grains, you literally change the population in your gut. And that changes how your body works. So if you want health and wellness, if you want to maintain your weight, if you want to have quality of life and good mood and emotional balance, then eat real food. And it'll be delivered. This is Dr. Vince Bellonzi. Learn how to live healthy. It's a better life.